Welcome back to Crossworld TCG. My name is Logan, and today we're going to be talking about a couple Shenron Buuhan variants that you can be playing in today's format, starting off with the one that is on screen. It is the version that I played against my buddy Josh and his Pan Gogeta deck and got absolutely throttled with. Biggest reason for that is because I drew out all of my Grand Evil Absorption Majin Boos very early on in the game, making it very difficult for my deck to even function. But overall, really solid deck, really cool leader, really cool concept, straight out of set 2, does a ton of cool stuff. Jumping into it, we'll start off with the leader, standard Dragon Ball leader. On the front side, add 2 Dragon Balls from your deck or life to your hand, draw 2 if you look through any areas, shuffle them, and then on the back side, he becomes the other Shenron, where he is able to either draw a card, an effect not normally used, you're able to use a Desire for free, or his ultimate effect to give something triple attack for the turn, and then it flips back over. Going into the main deck, we're playing just 7 straight Dragon Balls because this is a red-yellow variety of the deck, which means we're going to have access to some cards like Fledgling Talent Pan, which help us cycle cards, so we don't need to play any cards like 1-star Ball, and we have plenty of removal in the deck through just standard attacking cards like our Grand Evil Absorption Majin Buu. Continuing on, we have 2 copies of Dragon Radar, really solid card, can help you on turns where you're a little bit awkward. They can fetch back Dragon Balls, you can fetch back your Child's Wish, you can fetch back this Personal Ambition, which is really good and allows you to extend your plays even farther. And after that, we move on to the main wish card of the deck, a Child's Wish. This allows you to resurrect a 3-drop or lower with 1500 or less from your drop area. And in this deck, there are several targets that we want to hit, most notably to start our chain, Surprise Attack Majin Buu, or any of these Gohans make very good targets, as well as this Explorer Bulma to untap energy and to cycle through cards. Continuing on for the last 4 black cards in the list, we have Boards and Portal, Rescue Trunks, just the super combo of the deck, Sparking 5, turns on by turn 2, typically in this Shenron lead, so it is a very good card to have. Moving on to the red line that we play, because it's a Shenron deck, we're playing My Trusted Lackey. Auto, when you play this card, choose up to 1 Dragon Ball card from your deck, add it to your hand, then shuffle your deck. This is in here to specifically fill out our curve by turn 3. That way we're able to awaken and get full value out of our Shenron lead. At that point, very good charge later in the game if you need it, because it is red and this deck requires a decent amount of red to get functioning. Typically your curve you want to look like you have 2 reds and 1 yellow by turn 3. Continuing on, the first of the Majin Buu line, we have Surprise Attack Majin Buu. Auto, when you play this card, you may choose up to 1 Majin Buu with 2500 or less power from your deck, add it to your hand, then shuffle your deck. This guy can fetch your Awakening Evil Majin Buu, which is a 5-drop evolve for 2 red over a Majin Buu. Union Absorb, place 1 battle card, any battle card, which is really cool. From your hand out of this card, choose up to 1 Majin Buu other than Awakening Evil Majin Buu with 2500 or more power from your deck, and place it on top of this card, shuffle your deck afterwards. So from this, you're able to go into your Grand Evil Absorption Majin Buu with it is a 7-drop evolve for 3 red, 3 colors over Sun Gohan Adolescence, dual attack. Activate main, choose one of your Sun Gohan Adolescence under this card. For the duration of the turn, this card can attack battle cards in active mode and gains all of the skills of the chosen card, which is very powerful because it gives us access to this basically toolbox of all of these Gohans, which function very well. Starting off with Burst Attack Sun Gohan, he is a 3-drop 15k crit, so a Child Wish target. When this card attacks, if you have 4 or less cards in your hand, draw 2. This leader does draw an absurd amount of cards, so this is only in here as 2 if you need the crit pressure for that turn, or you've been cell trained or something and you need to reestablish your hand size. This is a very good option for that, and he's only at 2 because, again, this deck draws an insane amount of cards. Moving on, a little bit better of a Gohan for this specific strategy is Ability Unleashed Ultimate Gohan, 3-drop, 15k, again a Child's Wish target. When this card attacks, you may draw 1 card. If you did not draw a card, with this skill, this card gains Double Strike for the duration of the turn. This is a really cool ability because it allows you to pair well with your ultimate ability on your Shenron to give this triple attack, and after your first swing, if you declare Double Strike, it keeps it for the turn, so you can essentially swing with a triple attacking Double Striker, which is a very, very solid alternate win condition besides this big evil Majin Buu finishing games. And then every attack after that, you get to draw an additional card because you've already declare Double Strike for the turn. You don't need to declare it again, but you can also declare Double Strike again if you need to, like if you're running low on cards in your deck, and you'll deck out if you don't. Continuing down the line, we have our final 3 Gohans that we play in this deck. Miraculous Comeback Ultimate Gohan. This is basically the card that you want to be unioning under that 5-drop Buu in most scenarios, because he has the best effect that pairs well with Grand Evil Absorption Majin Buu. He is double strike if you only have 3 or less cards in your hand besides this card. Reduce card this thing by 4 energy in your hand, so he essentially becomes a 2-drop double striker, which is very strong. And then when this card KOs your opponent's card, inflict 2 damage to your opponent. So when the Grand Evil Absorption has this ultimate comeback underneath him, he gains the double strike tag. He gains also the ability to kill when he kills cards that your opponent will take 2 burn damage. And because this Grand Evil Absorption allows you to attack active mode cards, if your opponent has any like really small 1-drop 5k monsters on the board, you could easily push them over for game, which is absolutely absurd. Very strong card, very strong combo of cards. Really solid for control because you're able to attack active cards and kill off things that your opponent may be trying to keep earlier on in the game. Especially since this combo essentially finishes itself by turn 3 on like a great curve, because on turn 2 you can bring back the surprise attack Majin Buu, and then if it stays on the board turn 3 you pay your 2 red to evolve into this, and then you union up into your Grand Evil Absorption Majin Buu. And then if you have when you're at 3 energy, you should have also a yellow, so you'll potentially be able to battering laser them on one of your attacks if you want to be greedy and go for it at that time. However, this deck can function very well across multiple turns because everything will continuously gain you advantage, meanwhile being able to clear multiple cards. Continuing on into the yellow line, this is mostly here to support this battering laser and this fledgling talent pan, because they're both very good cards at cycling and going for game. Starting off, 2 copies of Personal Ambition, the other desire card we play in this deck. Activate main, your leader card is Shenron, draw a card, then choose up to 1 energy, switch it to active mode. It's essentially another copy of Dragon Ball in the early game, just a very strong card, very strong yellow to have. Continuing on, 4 copies of Fledgling Talent Pan, activate main, choose one card from your hand, place it in the drop, and draw 1 card. So this is another turn 1 play that you have to be able to start cycling out your surprise attacks into the drop so that you can Child's Wish them back for a cheated cost, which is very powerful. This allows you to cycle through cards very quickly to see the things that you need to see, and overall it's a very strong card in any Shenron deck that's planning on playing the yellow package. Continuing on, 2 copies of Battering Laser, counter, allows you to force damage that you otherwise might not be able to and kill your opponent with it, which is very strong. Denying your opponent the tempo that a negate provides is very good for you, especially in a deck where the win condition is to attack 3 times for game. 2 Flying Nimbus just in here to fill out the yellow count. It's also a very good negate because it turns off your opponent's attacks for the turn if you need an additional turn to get your full combo off. So it can be very important. It was the last cards that I was playing in this list. And then the final 3 cards in the list, there are 3 Explorer Bulmas, 3 drop 10k, so another Child's Wish target, which is excellent because when you play this card, place up to 2 cards from the top of your deck into the drop, so you can choose 0 if you don't want to mill out, and then choose up to 2 of your energy and switch them to active mode and draw a card. So this essentially turns your Child's Wishes into essentially a draw 1. You're able to cycle for free, put a 10k body on the board, which is sometimes relevant because you can actually kill your opponent with these, or it's just an additional 5k combo power. Overall, really solid stuff in this deck. Some of the weaknesses that it has is that it's not super resilient to removal, which can be very difficult, and I will show you a slightly adjusted list which I would play going forward instead of this version, but I wanted to show you guys this version first because it was the one I played. But it also can be a little bit weak to aggressive plays, which is why in the final version that I'll show you guys, there's some cards that I'm playing to address that matchup. Also, like I said, your Buu is very susceptible to being popped. There's a lot of 110ks in this deck, so they can clog up a little bit too much. Also, if you draw your Grand Evil Absorption Majin Buus, it can be very difficult for you to even play the game. And if you guys saw the match video, you saw that happen in real time. This card, once it hits the board, is very, very impactful, but if you can't even get it there to begin with, you're just playing too long of a game, and you're going to be relying a little bit too much on these other cards. However, I will say that the fact that we're playing very high quality Child's Wish targets that give us legitimate alternate win conditions besides the Grand Evil Absorption Majin Buu is very strong. Like, you're able to go for game with this ability Unleashed Gohan, you're able to go for game with this miraculous comeback Gohan, and then the whole deck just cycles cards really fast, so you're able to discard maybe some of your dead extra cards to curate your hand for a better push. Continuing on to some slight tweaks in the deck. This is the second version of the deck that I think, or the next version of the deck that I think I would play. The biggest notable changes are that I've made room for 1 Majin Buu, Dawn of the Rampage. This guy allows you to give whatever Buu it's under barrier, which is very powerful because the way that this card works is that it says choose up to one Majin Buu from your deck and play it. So what you can do is you can actually take this 4-drop and you use this guy's Union Absorb effect to put him underneath, fail to find anything in deck. That way now you have that the Majin Buu with barrier underneath the other Majin Buu, and then you can go Union Absorb again to go up into the Grand Evil Majin Buu to give this guy that additional barrier that he needs. Originally I thought that this wouldn't really come up, but then I ran into so many situations where I already had the pieces that I wanted with my surprise attack Majin Buu, so having the one of in the deck to actually search out when you want it is very powerful. I tried to find room for 2, but the deck space is very tight, keeping all the cards that I actually wanted to play inside of the deck. I had to cut down on Fledgling Talent Pan to 3 to make room for this guy, and then I added the 4th copy of the Grand Evil Absorption Majin Buu because honestly, I thought 3 was going to be enough, but it was not. Like, you really do just need to play 4 copies of this card because when you draw it, it sucks, and this deck draws an insane amount of cards, so being able to draw it and then be okay is very nice. Be able to just throw it down for energy. Alternatively, you could play cards like Obuni to shuffle it back. There's a lot of new cards coming out of Series 6 that are draw 2 and then put 2 back at the bottom of your deck, stuff like that. However, I think they're a little bit too slow, a little bit too energy heavy for a deck that already has a ton of 110Ks, and you want to be finishing your games out by turns 4 or 5, because other than that, variants like Shenron Gogeta are just going to potentially rip you apart. So that's what's really nice about this deck, is that its curve fills out slightly faster than Gogeta's, if not on par. So if you go first, you can actually beat them and be very aggressive. But if you don't, then you really don't want to play the extended games against other decks that aren't that don't have a hard ceiling on them. Like if you're playing against more of an aggressive deck, then if you're able to survive out, you should have a good opportunity to win, because Grand Evil Absorption against like 15k bodies or 10k bodies is very powerful. And that's it for the slight changes that I made to this one. Continuing on to the red-blue variant that I've actually been tooling around with a little bit. This is in response to the fact that I think the yellow engine is a little bit clunky, and the blue provides a lot of good defensive options, as well as giving you an alternate win condition through this Ultimate Evil Majin Buu. It also gives you more things that this Awakening Evil Majin Buu can actually go up into, which is very, very cool. Starting off with this guy's effect, I guess we should do is EX Evolve for 1 blue, place 2 cards from your hand in the drop, and then over a Majin Buu with an energy cost of 5 or more, so basically these 2 Boos here, or himself, which is very fantastic, and he has Triple Strike, and then auto when a card evolves into this card, switches card to active mode, and it gains 30k power for the duration of the turn. This is an absolute monster of a card. I featured a variant solely focused on getting this guy out early on. He's very strong with Shenron lead, becoming super huge is just really cool. Also, there's like an awesome interaction where you can go from Awakening Evil Majin Buu into your Grand Evil Absorption, maybe kill something, deal 2 damage, fix your numbers. If your opponent was at 8 life at the time, that's 2 damage, and then you go into your Triple Striker and start swinging out for crazy amounts of damage. Unfortunately, because we're not playing a yellow line, this list can be a little bit more susceptible to negates. However, because we're being able to play, or we're able to attack multiple times in a turn, it's very powerful. The biggest problem that you're going to run into, though, is cards like Mafuba or Pilaf, which will remove your Triple Strike or your Triple Attack tags. But either way, Grand Evil Absorption Majin Buu is still a very strong control option, as it can remove cards from the board by attacking actives, as well as dealing damage when it kills those cards by using Miraculous Comeback Gohan. Looking at the list, another thing that I changed was a 1-star ball instead of, or I added a 1-star ball as the 7th Dragon Ball in the deck, and that's because the deck was relying pretty heavily on Fledgling Talent Pan to cycle through cards in the early game, and since we don't have that tool anymore, having a card like 1-star ball to be our turn 1 play potentially is very strong, because it allows us to put that surprise attack Majin Buu into the drop as quickly as we can, which is very beneficial for us because we want to get it onto the board turn 2, turn 3 in order to evolve up into our chain as quickly as we can. Other changes that we've seen are just a heavier blue line for Senzu Bean, really just a fantastic defensive card. This list is a little bit better, I think, equipped at dealing with aggro decks, because it has cards like Bean and it has cards like this FR Goku, but this also is a very good card for when you want to play aggressively and you want to put more damage down in a turn. The biggest example of that I can think of is that you can go ultimate ability, give it to your Grand Evil Absorption Majin Buu, and start swinging. And then Senzu Bean this up, make this bigger, evolve into an Ultimate Evil Majin Buu. After you swing 4 times with this, evolve into this, and then he gets restood. Swing for a triple attack again. If you can Senzu Bean and you have the cards, you can again evolve over the top of him into an Ultimate Evil Majin Buu again and again and again, as long as you have the cards to do so, which is a really cool interaction. Senzu Bean, just a fantastic card. And then the next blue card that we're playing in the deck is that FR Goku out of Clash of Fates. Honestly, fantastic card, absolutely absurd. Any deck that's playing 1 or 2 drops that want to like really turbo through them, stops them cold in their tracks. If you're trying to build this deck a little bit more on a budget, you could play the Borgos in this slot. Really, it's just the last good blue slot that we had, because I was playing all of the other blue cards that I wanted, because really you only need 1 blue up for most of the stuff that you want to do. And FR Goku only requires 1 blue, so it's really cool, really good synergy. But he is a fantastic card for stopping like red decks from pushing you, for stopping yellow decks from pushing against you, for however relevant that's going to be. That new Frieza deck has a hard time with this too, because it's so difficult to get through this guy. And then if you're playing a leader that can Child's Wish this guy back for free, just absurd. Like, you can just stop your opponent dead in their tracks, give yourself a few turns, and deny them the ability to really push you hard. I was able to bump up the count of Majin Buu down to the Rampage in this list. It's a little more important because we don't have the yellow cards to force our damage through, so there's going to be times where this has to stay on the board, and because he's so big, he's hard to clear. So if this has barrier underneath it, it is very difficult to clear this card after it swings, so you can play a little bit more recklessly with it. Not necessarily the best decision, but read the game, read the play. Majin Buu, very good. Very good overall. And this is the updated blue list. I think the blue list is what I'm going to be testing out a little bit more going forward. I got to get my hands on some of those FR Gokus, which is really the rough part of this whole deck. I have every other card in here except for that card, because I think it's like $15 a piece, something like that right now. We'll see if I can finagle my friends to trade them to me, but honestly, if I was them, I wouldn't. I think they should just keep it for themselves, which means I'm gonna have to be saving up here for them FR Gokus for myself. Other than that, let me know what variants of Shenron Buu you guys are playing. Hopefully we get some more cards that will cheat out the cost of this deck. If we get a card that is a 1-drop Majin Buu that allows us to go Awakening Evil Majin Buu on turn 2, that'd be really cool as well. But I think that Bandai knows that this engine is still very potent, very powerful, so they won't be doing something like that. But if you're trying to look for a little more fun, a little less competitive, because it is a little bit of a clunky engine deck to play, I think this is definitely it. Really cool overall. I've really enjoyed playing this deck a lot, and I hope that you guys have enjoyed this multi-variant profile from me. And like I said, it's been Logan here with Crossworld TCG. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.
Hey, welcome to the end card, and thank you so much for staying through that, because honestly, I'm just doing this until I make a Digimon trading card game. So if you like Dragon Ball Super for some reason, give it a sub up above, maybe check out some of our other content, and do not forget, Digimon is way better than Pokemon. With that being said, we will see you next time.